Yen Sid is a character in Kingdom Hearts that gets a lot of flack, especially during the pre-Kingdom Hearts 3 days. I mean, a lot of people did not like this sorcerer in the community. I wouldn't say everyone, but for sure a noticeable amount. A good amount of this generally seems to stem from him being a Keyblade master or retired one who doesn't really seem to do anything, at least that's the perception people have. He does a lot of telling people what to do, giving them advice, but he wasn't the one out there fighting or helping them, at least until Kingdom Hearts 3 from what we saw. I personally think people are a little bit unfair to Yen Sid. I mean, he probably did his time as a Keyblade wielder in Birth by Sleep. They mentioned that he is a retired master after all, and he kind of just observes everything now, which I don't think means he can't help. I personally think the opposite. I feel like out of all the masters and guides in the Kingdom Hearts series the Guardians could have at this point, that he is definitely one of the best ones. I mean, look at Master Ericus and Master Xehanort. Ericus, while having good intentions, sees light as a absolute and won't even acknowledge the opposition of darkness in his presence. That's kind of how he grew up though, it seemed, which I'm sure we'll see even more of in Dark Road. But he was willing to destroy Ventus so Xehanort wouldn't get what he wanted, and raise his Keyblade against Terra as well. Of course Xehanort manipulated a lot of it, but still it did happen. While that group did have a happy ending, Ericus sure did have zero tolerance for darkness and was a pretty rough teacher for sure. Master Xehanort, on the other hand, well, do I really even have to explain why Xehanort isn't the best guide you'd like to have? I mean, Terra tried that and we saw how he turned out.
All worlds begin in darkness and also end.
Yen Sid though? He is an incredibly nice guy, super patient with his students as well. I mean, he taught King Mickey, and Mickey was just doing whatever he wanted in Birth by Sleep, and Mickey knew he was probably fed up with him, and a post-credit scene was willing to retire being a Keyblade wielder because he just felt the guilt. Yen Sid definitely wasn't super pleased with him just doing whatever he wanted, but he has so much patience and care for his students that he just gave Mickey another chance, the Keyblade back, and smiled essentially, forgiving him for his shenanigans. I don't know, it's just a really nice post-credit scene. I didn't even notice this scene initially. That's not even the only example of him doing something like that. He goes well out of his way to make sure his students feel comfortable while also providing minor constructive criticism here and there. Aqua was feeling down after what happened to Ventus, but Yen Sid gave her the little hopeful speech which cheered her up a lot. Speaking of Ventus, when Ventus was gone from home in order to go back instead of getting mad at Ventus, Yen Sid just made him feel more comfy by just relaying his situation to that of Mickey's, who had also had trouble following directions as we explained earlier. Now that I'm realizing it, Yen Sid was just really nice in Birth by Sleep. He showed similar energy though to Riku and Sora, but with a lot more seriousness given their situations and how they had to become masters and prepare for the coming conflict that would be Xehanort. So there was a lot more like task ahead of them, I guess you could say, that they needed to get done. Things like the Mark of Mastery exam, for example, which was done purposely because Yen Sid felt the coming conflict of Xehanort. But I don't know, Yen Sid, I would say, is pretty solid as far as teachers go. He does have some pretty nice power, I'd say, as well. After that showcase in Kingdom Hearts 3, just using Final Explosion on the Heartless is pretty cool, I'd say. That was definitely a shocker scene for sure, and it kind of made me laugh as well, because I immediately was just thinking about how people were talking about how they want Yen Sid to finally do something in Kingdom Hearts 3, and he did there. Yen Sid's powers, in terms of specifics and what he's capable of, are not hard specified, but he can feel the balance between light and darkness like on some Star Wars stuff, and his feel of it is definitely way better than some other characters in a general sense. A character that I would put close to Yen Sid in terms of like how they can feel out darkness and light would probably be Sora, but that's, you know, Sora, he's the guy. He was able to feel the tides shifting before the events of Birth by Sleep and knew something terrible was about to happen, which it did. He was aware of Master Ericus being struck down without being there, which I guess isn't too crazy since they were old friends, so their hearts being connected and so on, so normal Kingdom Hearts stuff. But he also knew that the princesses of hearts passed on their powers, though so did Xehanort and somehow Sora. So it seems like a lot of his like knowledge and powers and stuff comes from being able to have this like insane feel of like how light and darkness are in balance in the universe, if at all. He can also acknowledge how powerful Sora truly is, but knows Sora is someone to be kind of protected, which I think is a big reason he doesn't disclose info to him all the time. He sees Sora as a kind of trump card because he knows crazy things happen when he is around. Though despite his great sense of the clashing tides between light and darkness, he definitely is not all-knowing, I'd say. Even though people go to him for like most situations in Kingdom Hearts, relay all the info to him and everything, he definitely is not all-knowing. And I got this interpretation after recently rewatching just every Yen Sid scene in the world. While he was able to predict the return of Master Xehanort, he was not able to predict the extent Xehanort would go. He was in complete shock at how his plan for the other vessels was executed and how far he would go with the time travel.
It was a version of him that was possessing Riku.
No, it cannot be.
He was just completely unaware of Terra's position and wasn't even close to figuring it out, which is a big reason why Xehanort surprised him. He does understand about how the world today formed, which is the same story Kairi knows from her grandmother, which is one of the most interesting points of discussion when it comes to what Yen Sid knows, because on one end in Melody of Memory, he wants Mickey to explore this world and these masters, which sort of implies that a lot of mysteries from how this world formed, as far as specifics go, are unknown, which isn't a surprise. But in the same sense, you see logos on the chalkboard for the Book of Prophecies, which is odd. I mean, it could be similar to that phrase, may your heart be your guiding key, something passed down but not quite known where it came from, just something people use to say maybe. Maybe this logo is something teachers use. Though, as a counterpoint to that, Yen Sid was canonically around characters who were aware of the Book of Prophecies, in Master Ericus and Xehanort. Master Ericus being a friend of Yen Sid, and we don't 100% know Yen Sid's involvement in either of those two's use or anything. Though regardless, does Ericus have a real reason yet to keep the book some big secret? This is something we see in Dark Road, though it also doesn't seem to be that the book is necessarily common knowledge or anything by the time Sora and friends are around. A readable Book of Prophecies most likely isn't around or easily accessible through normal means. I'm sure that it definitely exists, but who has it where it is, I don't fully know, unless Ericus has it stashed away somewhere, which I do think is a genuine possibility actually, just based off of Dark Road. If Xehanort isn't one who has it right now, or did before he was defeated, then I would think Ericus would have one, but that would make Yen Sid having this symbol on his chalkboard very suspicious regardless, and has many of us questioning his knowledge. While he isn't all-knowing, what does he know? Why is he interested in the book if that's what this is? He likely wants to find the book if it's out there to help them out, I'd assume. But let's say he has read it. He does know what's in the book. Then that opens up a ton of weird scenarios. I don't think Yen Sid is evil or secretly the master of masters like some people think or anything. I do 100% believe, even if Yen Sid withholds info, that it's in the best interest of the Guardians and to protect them, even if it's not necessarily the best choice. Though I think he genuinely cares about everyone. That's something I definitely feel a lot when watching him talk to his students. I will say that on that point, him knowing about Aqua in the Realm of Darkness for over a year till Kingdom Hearts 3 and not doing much to help in that time frame was questionable but understandable. Remember, Yen Sid found out from Mickey that she was trapped. That was what 0.2 was kind of about. And Mickey didn't return from the Realm of Darkness until after Chain of Memories or Kingdom Hearts 1, which that time span is a little under 2 years. Another point to bring up is that off of Melody of Memory, him knowing that the Masters crossed over into other worlds is kind of a big deal. Like, why does he know that? Do Xehanort and Ericus even know that? I mean, Xehanort somehow has knowledge of the Lost Masters. Well, not somehow, he actually did interact with the Master of Masters, though he likely has zero knowledge of Quadratum. So while Yen Sid has inklings inklings of greater info, he overall does not know everything and can't piece everything together. I'm curious how Yen Sid will feel about the Lost Masters and their involvement and this grand scheme the Master seems to be cooking. That should be something very interesting for sure. But that will be all for today, guys. I want to hear, how do you guys feel about Yen Sid? What major secrets do you feel he's hiding, if any at all? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed today's video, you already know what to do. Be sure to leave a like, share the video with a friend or a family member, and last but not least, if you have not already and want to become a part of the union, all you have to do is hit the red subscribe button down below. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye.
Now she's a daydreamer. She's always thinking about him. No more room in this picture for you to fit in. Now she's crying.